is found in Acts 7. If we can turn over to Acts chapter 7. The context of this is that Stephen has been chosen as a deacon, and he is beginning to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ to Jews, and they're getting upset. In verse 11 of chapter 6, they're bringing charges against him. They brought him before the court, and they stirred up people, and they set up false witnesses, and they're charging him with all sorts of mumbo-jumbo to try and bring judgment. And they look at him and say, and the priest, in chapter 7, starts at verse 1, Then said the high priest, Are these things so? Now, for approximately 50 verses, and we're going to walk down this pathway, we want to take a look at this because you're going to see it's the exact same thing the writer of Hebrews is doing, but with this different result. And Stephen said, verse 2, Men and brethren, and fathers, hearken, the God of glory appeared unto our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia before he dwelt in Charan. Well, the Jews hear, well, that's true. God appeared to Abraham, and he said unto him, Get you out of the country and your kindred, and come into the land which I will show you. And the people say, Well, that's true. I don't see what the problem is there. That's true. And he goes down and he's talking, and he continues to flow down, and he begins to talk in verse 9. And the patriarchs moved with envy, talking about Joseph, sold Joseph into Egypt. And the people are saying, That's true. And you find that he begins to recount Old Testament history very accurately every step of the way. Talks about Moses, God appearing to Moses, and it's a long sermon. These people are expecting something heretical, and he's giving them their history. And it's following around, talking about Moses. Verse 37, And this is that Moses, which said unto the children of Israel, A prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me, him shall you hear. He goes on talking about the calf. He goes into talking about their fathers. In verse 47, he says, But Solomon built him a house, and then quotes a famous verse saying, Howbeit the Most High dwells not in temples made with hands as the prophets. He says, Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. And what is the house you will build us, saith the Lord? And what is the place of my rest? Hath not my hand made all these? He's quoting Isaiah. He's quoting things to the Jews, and the Jews have been saying, for about 30 minutes as he's going down all this. Now, in sales, there is a certain practice known as, it's two ways to do it, but one way is a tie-down, where you say something, and then you ask the person, do you agree? And you get the person to say yes. And then you go on talking about saying, well, don't you agree? And you get the person to say, and pretty soon the person agreed all these things, then supposedly you've lined them up logically at the end. Well, you need to buy this now because you just agreed all these reasons are true. And the second reason on that is that you get the person so used to saying yes that finally when you get it to the end, it says, now don't you want to buy one? They said yes all along, so they say yes. They've gotten used to saying yes. It's a sales technique. Stephen, in this particular passage, has had them nodding their heads for a half an hour. He's had them saying, yes, that's true, yes, that's true, yes, that's true, yes, that's true, yes, that's true. But watch what Stephen does. He has got them set up. They're just nodding their heads saying, we don't see anything wrong with this guy. And in 51, having said all of those things, he goes, you stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears, you do always resist the Holy Ghost. As your fathers did, so do you. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? And they have slain them which showed before the coming of the just one, of whom you have now been betrayers and murderers, who have received the law by disposition of angels, but you have not kept it. Pow! The Jews never saw it coming. And he put that barb so deep in them that they just went into a frenzy. They took him out and killed him. But up to that point where he put it in, he was following an accepted Hebrew literary device of recounting the history. And they did it, and they recounted it because that's how you put it into the kids' heads. Just keep talking about this. Well, boom, generation by generation, all the things.